Hey, good morning, everyone. This is M&I TV. I'm Keith Robinson. This is part two of my conversation with James Morgan on delivering data governance in the enterprise. If you haven't watched part one, go and watch that. But this does work as a standalone episode, so feel free to carry on. If you haven't already, hit subscribe to get more data-driven content straight to your inbox. Please like and share if you find it interesting. Enjoy. And do you think the industry's changed the last sort of 10, 15 years? Do you think that was a different conversation 10 years ago than it is today?
Certainly. It sadly in many organizations wasn't taken seriously. And sadly, there are still organizations out there that don't have the right steps in place. So yes, companies prioritize, quite rightly, their activities in their business, because everything you do costs money and resource in some kind of way.
Yeah.
And for a long period of time, people didn't really see the value in the data. People hadn't had it explained to them properly, or if they had, didn't want to listen. And certainly what happens a lot in an organization is if they're going through an easy growth stage and they are getting business or delivering services quickly and easily, they often prioritize more selling, more interaction with customers to cross-sell, etc., over actually protecting or looking after the data.
I think that's a really
they generally used to have the crunch point when suddenly the competition woke up or customers started to ask quite sensible and right questions. But there's normally an inflection point with a business when suddenly they're finding making money or delivering profits more and more difficult. And then they quite rightly want to know why. And if you can't answer those questions, or somebody says, I want to contact the customers, and everybody says, well, I think we've got the record somewhere. That's when a company used to wake up a lot.
Yeah. So do you see everyone in the company as a data analyst? Do you agree with that statement? How do you data throughout the whole business?
No, I find that quite dangerous sometimes, because every time somebody analyzes something or looks at a report even, it takes time. And I've seen organizations where too many people are trying to do the data and trying to look at the numbers and the underlying trends and trying to work something new out, when actually there's things they should be getting on with on their day job, guided by data, but they don't need to analyze and look at it themselves. So I get concerned because, one, not everyone in the company needs to see this information. If you look at names and addresses of customers, actually really a very small number of people really need to see them.
Or should be.
So it should be locked away and secured. But even if you talk about aggregated data that's anonymous, even when it's trends, you don't want everybody becoming and spending a huge amount of their time analyzing. They do need somewhere in the organization that analysis to take place. That analysis has to be discussed with people who run the business and operationally do the work so that decisions can be made. So I want people involved in discussing the analytics. I want people involved in working out how you can turn analytics into a business outcome and working out what's going to change, what decisions are going to be made. But I don't quite buy into the idea that everyone in the organization should be over-analyzing.
How do you drive accountability through a business for data governance?
Going back to that piece around where is the value generated in the data and where is it captured? So what you often have to do is join the dots between somebody who generates value from information, let's say a marketing director, and an area of the business where they may capture data. So somebody inputting product details into a system so that they can understand what products they're selling. A person cannot market and sell a product to somebody if they don't know what the product is and categorized it and can't understand how many people are buying it. Especially if you have a multitude of similar products. If you can't distinguish between them and get good metadata, so data about data, then it's very difficult to analyze it. So often what you need to end up in a conversation with is the parts of the organization who need to use that data to deliver sales, deliver engagements, deliver services, to the parts of the organization and capture it and explain how bad practice in one area influences another. What that often comes to is how those different parts of the business are remunerated, and what basis they have objectives set. So if you can get a properly joined up organization where, and I have seen it done, where actually there are data objectives in people's yearly reviews and plans to capture good data and or to use it correctly and govern it, then you see the behaviors starting to change. But if you have competing objectives in the organization where, say, in a customer service team, all that matters is call handling time over the capture of some really important necessary data to give a customer a better experience or deliver more efficiently for them, then that's where the conflicts arise. So you have to keep this balance within the organization of people understanding the value of data. And also what you need to do often is explain to people who perhaps are capturing it why it's important and how whatever they do links through to actually something in another part of the organization being either successful or failing.
Yeah. And where are companies that you've seen on that spectrum? Are they typically somewhere in the middle? Are they typically, the other end, not capturing much, or capturing too much, or what?
I've seen the whole range. I've seen organizations try and capture too much data, and either use an online example. If you put too many clicks between somebody trying to do something online and the sale, then the customer will get bored and go somewhere where they can do it quicker. If you don't capture enough, you can't understand enough about the customer and why they bought the product or what they've done. So you've got to get that balance at the correct amount, and some of that takes knowledge from previously doing it or test and learn techniques to say what is the right minimum amount to service the customer, meet their needs, and understand enough about them. And companies are getting better and better at that. But I've seen the best and I've seen the worst of it. Some companies are brilliant at this stuff, some are still in the dark ages.
Yeah, I guess it depends on sort of sector and maturity and all sorts of factors. And also, I guess, what's going through my mind is how the technology's developed as well, and how obviously storage is becoming a lot more efficient, cheaper, and lots of different tooling can be spun up so quickly now that different pockets of data can be captured and stored without it being sort of properly governed a lot easier than it could 10 years ago, for example.
That's a sad case, is that, yes, I do agree with democratization of data, and it's great that the new technologies come on board and you can store this stuff. However, it only takes one part of an organization or one part of a subsidiary of a company to do something badly, and the whole brand of the whole organization can be damaged. And that's how you need to get the message across, is that yes, somebody with a credit card can spin up a cloud environment with a provider and start capturing and storing data there. It's not legal, it's not ethical if they're not doing it properly. And the problem that you find is that if that either has, sadly, somebody internal who uses it for the wrong purposes, or heaven forbid it's leaked externally, then quite rightly the regulators will not just look at that small part of the business and say you did something wrong here, and certainly the press won't. They will look for the largest part of the company and say not small subsidiary X had a problem. They will say global corporate Y had a problem and wasn't protecting your data. So that's why you have to get across to people it's doing it properly across the board. And that's why you do need data specialists in the organization to help people do it. And that's the other aspect of this, is if as a data person you're seen as somebody who's just going to try and stop people from doing it and try and put barriers in the way, and that's why data governance gets a bad name.
Yeah.
People often think of governance as a bad thing. They think about people trying to stop you from doing something.
Yeah.
Where this has been done well in organizations, it's where the governance team are trying to enable a function to do something, but do it properly and well and ethically and in the interests of the customer.
Yeah.
So certainly in organizations I've worked in previously, I've set up something called an information council, which is where people trying to do something new with information can come and talk it through with other commercial experts, but also with the teams who are data experts, who are CISOs, who are on the risk and compliance side of the organization, and the legal teams, to say, well, what are you trying to achieve? If you want this outcome, what the way you're suggesting doing it isn't right.
Yeah.
But if we do it in this way, we get the proper opt-in, we get the proper consent from the customer, we store it in the right place, and we only use it for these agreed purposes, then yes, we can do something similar to what you were talking about that will result in the same outcome.
Yeah. So just on that point, how have you set up teams to get this delivered most effectively? So have you gone for sort of cross-functional teams, or have you gone for a centralized team? How does experience, what have you seen, sort of team structures of data professionals that have worked best?
Yeah, in all sorts of data work, I think when I was doing this many years ago, in some organizations you have to centralize stuff to get it done properly if it's really broken. What works much better is if you can have a hub and spoke model. You don't need a copious amount of information law experts in an organization. You don't need everyone to have read through all of the GDPR regulations and understood them and have a phone line into the DPO's office whenever they need to. What you need around the organization, some people call them stewards or owners, is people who understand how data relates to their part of the business and understand the basics of a few simple questions to ask themselves that will allow them to understand whether they're working within existing boundaries, and then know that if they answer, say, no to a certain question when they're checking against a simple list, they know there's a central team they can come and ask. They know that the experts are on hand to help them. If they think that central team is going to block them and stop them, that's when you get a problem. What you need is a trusted central team who understands the pressures of the business and what they're trying to do, can talk to them about their commercial priorities and outcomes, and translate what they're trying to do into data and understand the regulations and have a proper conversation about how you can achieve their outcome or try to achieve it. Now, sometimes there are red lines. People come in and say, I want to do this, and you really, really can't do it. But in many areas, it's more about the approach. So what I would always go for is a hub and spoke model with some central expertise that you only need a few of, and then well-educated people around the organization who understand enough about data to know when to come back to a central team, but can normally function on their own.
And what's the challenges of that model? What are the downsides?
Yes, the downsides are, like I say, this problem if that central team's seen as a blocker, or the people in the central team can't speak in the right language. And what you find often is those people who are extremely good at the technical side of information law or understand the detail of GDPR regulations, some of those maybe aren't the best communicators in the world and perhaps don't understand everything about marketing and commercialdom or enough that they need to know. So what you have to have is that facilitation conversation. So stakeholder management in those teams is the most important thing. And the other thing is they have to be proactive people. They have to get out there and build the relationships with the supply chain team, with the procurement team, with the marketing sales teams, etc.,
Yeah.
So that they first of all know they're there, and two, know why they're there and why they would come and have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
So communication skills are absolutely vital.
Yeah. Hey everyone, thanks for watching to the end. Hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. Please share or like. We've got lots more content coming up. So yeah, stay tuned for more data-driven content. Thank you.